Alright, I'm gonna be honest with you guys right off the bat. I am not a professional DD player. But that doesn't mean I don't know how to play this class. And I think this game's gonna be a good example of how I play DDs, and this is in ranked. And this is playing to help your team win. Because after all, the whole goal of ranked is to win. You don't care really about any other stat but win rate. So, number one, biggest thing you can possibly do, most important all the time, the most important thing you can do is stay alive. Alright? That's the thing. Always, always, always stay alive. Even if it takes you longer to get somewhere, even if you gotta, turn somewhere you don't want to, or anything, you just have to stay alive, because as you're going to see later on, the threat of a destroyer being anywhere, even if you're mispositioned, even if you're not positioned right, the threat that you could be in a position gets in the enemy team's head and can help you win games, even if you don't position exactly right all the time. Just the threat that you're unspotted, they don't know where you are, that can win you games. Yeah, and then a big one, number two, and I'm going to put these in order as they're important, right? So number one, most important thing is staying alive. Number two most important thing is spotting for your team, alright? This Lo Yang is not doing that very well at all right now. I'm lamenting him being on my team at this point, but we'll hope he improves a little bit. We'll just hope that was a little accident. And now we need to spot for our team, because the majority of our ships are here and we're losing A, and that's a problem. So our carriers just dropped us a set of fighter planes, which is really nice. So I'm going to actually push in here, which seems a little dangerous, but we need to either stop this cap or try and kill this Lo Yang, the enemy Lo Yang in the cap. So how I'm going to go about this is I'm going to try and position myself in such a way that Baltimore never can see me. It's really important. Even if he radars me, which he will, and that's fine if he radars me, as long as he can't shoot me. I'm limiting the number of people that can shoot at me to 2, right? Because the Lo Yang and the Odin, right? And so you see, we've already got quite a bit of damage on this Odin. All we got to do is keep him spotted for our team. So we spot the Lo Yang, and the Lo Yang's in a really bad position here. So he has to smoke. He's forced to smoke. He's probably going to hydro as well, because that's just what they do. So we'll get that utility out, which is really, really, really good for us. And we've taken very little damage. This is great. So here comes the radar. The Lo Yang and the Odin are the only things that can shoot at me right now. And the Odin's busy with other things. So, unfortunately, we actually do get spotting of their Lo Yang for just a little bit here, so it can do a little bit of chip damage. But you see how the Baltimore just can't shoot at me? Because he's behind an island. I very purposefully went to this flank of the cap because I knew that Baltimore was there. Even though it's closer to him, it's actually safer than me being on the other side of the cap, because the Baltimore could shoot me. Now, a bit of a lapse in judgment here, I'm going to be honest. I kind of, for a moment, forgot there was a CV in the game, so that is something to keep in mind. I should have smoked up here while I was shooting this Lo Yang. This was a great position until that. I took way too much damage there that was unnecessary, and I have 4 smokes, I should use them. So, way too late on the defensive fire, this was a really, really bad play by me, just forgetting for a minute that there's a carrier. But fortunately, the kid has a heal, so we'll be alright. But you see how we haven't even done that much damage this game? And we've already taken control of 2 caps, and we're down to DD, but their Lo Yang's pretty low now. And now we got their Odin. As you can see, I really enjoy having carriers in my game. It's a lot of fun for me. I really appreciate them and the people that play them, So we're just making sure we use up everything that Wargaming has given us, all the tools. And yeah, you know, we just want to make full use of that report system because it's there. And why would they put it there if they didn't want us to report people? At least that's what I figure, you know? So, fortunately, we get the Lo Yang, the CV spots, and our team ends up killing them. Now, really important to note here is the C cap is wide open. Like, there's nothing stopping them from capping that at this point. So, we have to make a play. Even though we have 2 caps, well, they're capping it now, but we have to make a play, and it's for B. Because they're going to be pushing through C, and it's going to be a really tough fight for us there, so we have to go up and get B, because that's the one that they're kind of leaving unguarded right now. So as you can see, I'm kind of trying to stick with my fleet, because we're just trying to consolidate AA. Honestly, that's really all you can do against, especially an Enterprise, probably the strongest CV in the game, tier for tier. So for tier 8, Enterprise is the strongest CV by such a margin that even the strongest tier 10 CV compared to other tier 10 CVs, the gap is a lot closer. Enterprise is just that good, so we have to stick together. But Kid has a pretty good AA. We got defensive fire, so you're going to see us use that and helping our team and all that stuff. So yeah, the third thing that you have to do as a destroyer is contesting caps, right? Because you're able to move around the map sneakily, right, and get to these capture zones that your cruisers and battleships just can't get to safely. So in order, right, you don't want to contest a cap if it means you're gonna die, unless it's the end of the game and you have to. That's a different situation. But in general gameplay, you don't want to risk your ship too much to get a cap, because it's not worth you dying early just to maybe get a cap. And most of the time you won't get it if it's a risky cap. And then 2, you basically always want to prioritize spotting the enemy team over capping. Almost always. So, because knowing where the enemy are and being able to deal damage to them, like your team being able to damage the enemy team, perhaps from behind islands even, is really, really powerful, and will eventually lead to you getting the cap. So you don't want to force the issue with caps, because the points can swing with kills and other capture zones. It's just not worth risking too much. Yeah, so the CV, we always want to make sure we hold our AA until he's within our AA detect range, or the plane detect range. You don't want to be shooting your AA as a destroyer at just any squad that comes by, because you'll get spotted, right? Your AA bloom will go out and you'll get detected way sooner, and you don't want to do that. So here I'm just trying to dodge, trying to mitigate damage, but it's really hard against CVs. I'm going to be honest. It's really, really, really hard, especially at Enterprise. But we've retained enough health that I feel confident going out and spotting and contesting this B cap. Fortunately, we've taken a lot of the heat, so our Lo Yang is actually full health still, which is actually really, really, really good. So then, well, almost full health, I guess. But he is better at contesting caps than I am, and at this point, that's what we have to do. So it's really, really, really good here. So for whatever reason, the CV's been focusing primarily on me, which sucks for me, but again, I mean, my team is doing okay right now, and so that's fine. And what I said about not shooting at planes all the time, if you're in a safe position, like I am here, like the closest enemy ship is 15 kilometers away, definitely open up with your AA. Definitely do that, because you can help your teammates survive better then. So on torpedo planes, dive bombers, those likely aren't coming for you, so you may as well just open up and try and shoot down a couple planes to save your teammates some damage. Here, trying to just long range help our Lo Yang. Spotting the Cossack while the Lo Yang's in smoke. If the Cossack gets outside of the hydro range of the Lo Yang, is yeah, good. We're just kind of playing a little bit more conservative just because we're a little low on health at the moment. But again, here with AP bombs, right? We're gonna open up with our AA because we can, and there we go. Got a plane down already. We won't defensive AA. You gotta save defensive AA for the rocket planes. Wow, I don't know how I forgot that, but rocket planes. Because those are the ones that are a threat to you. But you can always help on other planes. And you see, we took down that squadron, and you only got one really bad drop-off out of it. So, really good there. So there's the rocket planes coming. As we can see, he's getting low on them. We've actually dealt enough damage to the point that he's only putting out half squadrons, which can still kill us, you know. That's just the way CVs are. But we're just going to sit in this smoke and pop defensive fire to try and kill him. Once these are dead, you know, we know the Enterprise is low, so we can have a little more freedom once these planes die to go out and do things, which is good. But as you can see, the game's really close. We're up on one ship, and we're up on caps right now, so this is really, really looking good for us. Despite us having maybe not the best positions of our Alabama and that kind of thing, and a Cossack on our flank, but I'm gonna push out of here and try and make sure we keep our Alabama alive, because that's the key ship right now. That's stopping their Kutuzov from doing whatever it wants to do. Yeah, it's just really important we keep the Alabama alive as long as we can, because even if he doesn't deal damage, the threat of his big guns is a big deal. So we're just going to go provide AA support and even smoke him up, because he's not in a good spot right now. So yeah, as you can see, I should have smoked earlier, so I should have 3 smokes at this point, but I still have 4 smokes, right? And that's down to I want to spot for my team. Even though this is a CV game, the CV's not always around to spot. You want to be actively engaged in spotting and helping your team as a destroyer player. And that brings me to the last thing you want to do as a deity is damage. And that is the least important thing you can do as a destroyer player is damage. In random battles, you'll see a lot of people just, you know, going for damage in destroyers, because honestly, destroyers have some of the best damage per minute out of any ship in the game. Their guns just reload that quickly, right? But in ranked, if you want to win, your goal is to not die, for one, right? You really don't want to die. You want to spot things, you want to contest caps, and then deal damage if you need to. But you see how we've done very little damage at this point, but we've been a big help to our team, helping our team push out of the A cap towards B, helping our team stay alive from planes, helping our team, even just by taking the focus fire of the enemy CV, helps the team, you know? I wouldn't say it's bait, because bait would imply that I'm in control of the situation, which obviously I'm not when it's a DD versus CV fight. But it's almost like bait, because that CV could be doing much more productive things than going after a DD in smoke, let's say. You know? So, or a DD with a heal. And you'll see at the end of this how much I heal. The CV did primarily the most amount of damage to me out of anybody in this game. But we lived, so was that damage really all that useful? Maybe, but we end up not dying, right? So it's hard to say if the game would have looked differently if the CV had focused a little more on other more important ships. Yeah, again, we're just helping our team with AA, helping to keep the Kutuzov away, and at this point we win in a minute. So I know the Kutuzov can't get to the cap in time to stall that cap, especially because the CV's there and he's going to kill the Kutuzov most likely. So the only way they can kind of stall some points and win this game is if, like that, their Cossack comes back and stalls the A cap and potentially kills us with torps or his guns, that kind of thing, since the Lo Yang and I are both lower than the Cossack is. So we have to go back and help with B. So that's why I'm turning around and just ignoring everything going down to the south of us, because that just doesn't matter at this point. If we want to win, we either have to kill or deter this Cossack. Because, you know, in a minute we win because he stopped the cap on B. So if we all focus here, we can do this. So, and it's not easy to play a DD in ranked because there's just so many carriers. But destroyers are just really really strong class. They have very high battle impact, and by that I mean when you play a DD well, you're gonna win more games for that same amount that you play well compared to a cruiser or a battleship, right? So if you play a battleship to the same level as a destroyer, you're gonna win less games than that destroyer would. So here we're just gonna smoke up and the game's over, because we win in 30 seconds, despite him killing the Lo Yang. I know right now the points, my ship is holding points for my team at this point. And so if I were to die, the points would actually flip and the enemy team would win, because we both have one cap ticking at this point, and any of our ships going down is enough to swing the points in the enemy team's favor. So we'll just sit and smoke. So, and you see we have 2 smokes left at the end. So I should have very much popped a smoke earlier in the game, like I said, when the carrier came and attacked me. But a really solid win. A different game, you know, not high damage game, not a record-breaking game, but just a really good showcase of playing a support DD. I think. I think I did pretty solid this game, despite, you know, not being rewarded for in base XP for playing well, which is a little too bad. I wish this game rewarded you for, you know, supporting your teammates. That'd be nice, but it doesn't. It rewards damage, caps, and that's pretty much it, honestly, and kills. But yeah, Kid's a really good choice for ranked. Honestly, it seems like Kid, Cossack, Lo Yang are kind of the top choices for Akizuki too. Top choices for a ranked, and they all work pretty well, just in different kind of capacities. And you can see how much rockets did to me, nearly 17,000 plus another 3,000 in fires, which is kind of insane. Again, I don't find CVs particularly fun or balanced in this game, but as long as you stay alive, you can win games, you know? So yeah, that's pretty much it. Remember to do them in order. Stay alive, spot for your team, contest caps, and then deal damage. And that should help you win some more games. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.